we want to discuss domestic violence. And before we go into the discussion, we want to examine the meaning of violence. Violence can be expressed as any act or act that affects a person or group of persons disproportionately because of their sex. Any act that inflicts physical, mental, or sexual harm or suffering, or threats of such acts against a fellow human being can be defined as violence. Also, all acts of violence, whether they occur in public sphere or in private sphere, can all be regarded as violence, and it infringes against the right of any person. And also, it also infringes on the fundamental human rights and freedom under the general international law. Having said that, we want to look at types of domestic violence that can be found in our home, in our neighborhood, and in our community. We look at physical abuse. As a community health caregiver, if you see any of these things in your community, all you have to do is to alert the authority and take cognizance of it. As with regards to our logo, community health is our concern. You don't have to overlook it, that it is none of my business. As a community health worker, this is your business. If this is brought to your clinic, brought to your notice, you have to take a bold step or cognitive step into making a difference. Now, physical abuse is maltreatment of a person which can result in harmful and adverse effect in respect of his or our physical health. Physical abuse may involve eating, shaking, throwing, poisoning, drowning, suffocating, burning, beating. There are cases in which a man can be physically abused, while a woman can be physically abused. There are cases in which a woman is beaten to stupor, and also a man can be beaten to stupor. This can be in other cases of physical abuse. There are incidences of the use of acids on a fellow human being, and we know that acids are corrosive chemicals which are used in laboratories or factories, and they cause permanent disfigurement of the victims. And once this is noticed in our community, we need to take a cognitive step into alerting the necessary authorities, into taking the necessary step into correcting this in our community. Many cases of acid baits are a result of the refusal of the woman to renew or at times submit to a relationship with the perpetrator. These are issues of domestic violence, and this should not be tolerated in our community. Also, we want to look at sexual abuse and rape. For many women and girls, sexual coercion and abuse are defining features of their lives. First sexual contact can take place at any time in a woman's life and includes a range of behaviors, from forcible rape to non-physical forms of prayer that compel girls and women to engage in sex against their will. In such cases, a woman lacks choice and faces severe physical, social, and economic consequences if she receives sexual advances. In the light of this, it is good to inform the community health center or special designated centers that deals with cases of gender-based violence. And this issue is brought to the community health center. It will be reported to the necessary authority so that this will not be repeated on the victim. And if the community health worker or the community health caregiver did not take any necessary step in order to prevent the recurrent occurrence of these acts, it's against and negates the ethics of the profession. Another form of sexual violence which affects women is revenge pornography, in which the nudity of the woman or the nudity of the man will be placed online for defamation of person, and which is not consensual, and which is damaging to the psychological and it has a psychological effect on other parties that are involved with this. These are sexually graphic images of individuals without their consent. Also, we want to look at these are images that were obtained without consent. For example, hidden recordings of sexual assault, and which are published online, which are also might be distributed locally. They are severe and affect the individual both physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Also, we want to look at psychological and emotional abuse. Psychological and emotional abuse could include neglect, lack of proper care, verbal insult, and a situation whereby such victims is made to feel worthless and less confident of herself. Neglect could also extend to the stage of pregnancy, whereby the woman is left alone to care for herself and her baby without the needed support. Although this form of abuse is not commonly reported in Nigeria, it is the source of many revenge actions taken by women and could escalate to mental health problems and suicide. And this kind of thing should not be condoned in our society. You are, as a woman or a man, if you or spouse involved in engages in verbal insults, and you have a lack of proper care in the home, and this should not be thrown under the carpet. This should be informed to the authorities so that necessary steps to be taken, and for what we call a rescue mission for the woman to escape such abuse. Also, and there is another form of abuse, which is female genital mutilation, in which these are cultural practices perpetrated against women, which constitute a form of abuse to them. A lot of emotional damages occurs after the perpetration of female genital mutilation, which effects might not be immediate, and it has a permanent damaging effect on the individual in which the female genital mutilation is perpetrated. Kindly subscribe, share, and